My name is Ngaira Mandara. I'm one part of the Mandara Brothers, and I recently completed a challenge called Inktober. So I'm just gonna basically take you through the artworks that I created during the month of Inktober. It's just basically we're given a prompt each day, and then we create artworks based on the prompts. Now the interesting thing is the prompt this year, I reached out to the community and people started sending their own ideas, and I compiled that with the ideas that also I had, and we created this prompt. So these are the artworks that I managed to create using those prompts. So let's get straight into the very first artwork. So the prompt was friend, and immediately the first idea that came to mind is like, hey, so what's a friend? Usually, whenever I try to get ideas for prompts, I just Google or go to Pinterest and write the prompt and see what ideas I manage to get from that. So it's just two kids, close friends. You can see they are walking together. The second prompt was called Master. Now, I wanted to explore if there are any type of masters in Africa. And I came across this Senegalese wrestling. It's called La Lutte, and I managed to get a number of images, and from those images I caught and I drew this concept, which I actually really like. So that was the concept. The prompt was Master, and this is the artwork I came up with. The third prompt was called Blemish. And blemish is basically some sort of skin irritation. This was quite easy. I managed to get quite a number of reference images on Google. I picked one that I really liked and I drew that one. The fourth prompt is called folklore. And I really asked myself, like, what areas of folklore can I explore? Of course, there's so many different stories based on the African context and, mythology, Greek mythology as well. But I decided to capture this. So this is a person called a griot. A griot is basically an African storyteller. He uses music, poetry, and different mediums to portray different stories throughout history, many of which are told through like a folklore type of style. But these are African storytellers, and I figured this would be a perfect prompt a perfect drawing to represent the prompt. Now, number 5 was Afro, and this was pretty straightforward. I just wanted to draw a woman with a very, very big afro. It's really covering her head, and she's just sitting in a sort of pose that you could tell she's in deep thought. Who knows what she's going through, but I really like the pose and the fact that the hair is covering her entire head. So this was a fun prompt to draw. The next one was Serendipity. Serendipity is basically a moment of calm and beauty in a space of chaos, or a place where you never expect something beautiful to occur. So the idea was a spaceman, a man wearing a spacesuit, thinking that in space you would never think of seeing flowers in space. So I wanted to combine the two concepts to represent serendipity. The next prompt was ethereal. Ethereal's the first word when I read the prompt. Ethereal was sort of like a magical world. So I drew a bunch of mushrooms with like a mini person in this world. You can tell that this is a character in this world. It's like a micro world, and this character is just exploring, looking out into the next place he wants to go to. But the mushrooms in the background and the character here, who's small, really managed to represent the word ethereal. That was the prompt. On day 8, I remember I saw the prompt was Afrocentric, And there's an artwork that I actually did, an illustration on my iPad that immediately came to mind when I saw the word Afrocentric. So this is basically a drawing of that illustration that I came up with. So that was pretty fun to do. Kind of like a different variation of an artwork that I've already done. Day 9 was spirits, and spirit was literally what came to mind was like we call the person Mganga, but it's sort of like a traditional wizard of sorts. So that came to mind, and I wanted to draw someone who kind of is connected to a spiritual realm and uses this horn to connect with this. And you can see the eyes was kind of whited out, and there's some sort of like spiritual ooze coming out of the eyes. I just wanted to draw that to represent spirit. The next prompt was cosmic, and just the word itself gave me an idea on a being that has cosmic powers. So I drew a character that sort of represents Mother Earth, but she has cosmic powers, and the Earth is sort of like she's holding the Earth, and you see this sort of cosmic powers coming out from her body. But this is really a celestial type of being that represented the prompt. The next prompt was love, and I mean, this is one of my favorite animated films. It's called WALL-E, and this is a character who falls madly in love with this other character. So you better watch the story, but it's definitely worth the watch. But these are two characters that really represented the prompt love when I saw it. The next prompt was bloom. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. What came to mind was like flowers blooming, but I thought to myself, how can I make it a bit different? I drew sort of like a face, a woman's face, and on top of her head it starts blooming like different types of flowers. So that was really the artwork idea I wanted to draw. And it was pretty fun drawing all these shades and the flowers. Yeah. The next prompt was serenity. Now, what came to mind when I saw the prompt serenity was peace, sort of like in a meditative state, kind of one with nature. And funny enough, the character Rafiki from Lion King came to mind. There's a scene where Rafiki is just sitting on a rock meditating, and Simba, was talking to Simba, like an older version of Simba. So I just wanted to draw that, and these lights sort of around his head represents that form of serenity. The next prompt was courage. Courage is another cartoon that I grew up with as a kid, and when I saw that prompt, the character came to mind immediately. I would say he's an embodiment of courage, because courage is, even though you're scared, like this character is always very scared, seeing monsters here and there, but he always came through. He always went to protect Muriel and Eustace. So he was facing so many scary monsters, but he managed to save them. So courage is right there. The next prompt was lazy. This was day 15. I remember this was the halfway mark. I honestly was feeling this prompt because I was already tired 15 days in, but this cat just laying down like this just represented that prompt for me. And when I finished this drawing, in a way, I kind of, breathed a sigh of relief, because it kind of indicated that I was halfway there, so I can just keep powering through. The next prompt was frog. Now, I mean, I could have drawn just a normal frog. That would have been very easy, but I wanted to draw a frog character. Now, the place I went to was Pinterest. I just Googled frog characters, and there was one character on this, what do you call it? Vespa that really captured my attention. So I wanted to draw the character and represent the prompt. I guess when I was done with this, I was very happy with the results here. The next one, this was day 17, myth. So I think a myth that many people know of is the myth of the mermaid. Do they exist? Do they not? Who knows? But myth, the mermaid was literally the first character that came to mind when I saw the prompt, and I really wanted to draw a mermaid and really just flex with my inking skills, with the afro here and all the shading at the low end, and I really used the pencil for the darker parts of the shading. If I didn't want it to be too dark, I would use the pencil in these areas, and yeah, I really like the results here. I drew a bit of bubbles around here just to represent that she's underwater, but yeah, this was pretty cool to do. The next prompt was cyberpunk. This was day 18, and first thing that came to mind was I wanted to Google Afro. It's called Afropunk type style. Whenever I see Afropunk style, that what comes to mind is like that could also link with cyberpunk. So I found a picture of a woman with the peace sign, and I added some cyberpunk elements to her. I added a robotic arm here, and this is like a visor of sorts. So to show that she's integrated technology into her body. So this is pretty cool. This is a fun concept. This is one of my favorites so far from the Inktober that I've done. Day 19 was underwater. I really didn't want to complicate this so much, but I wanted to draw a whale underwater with a diver filming the whale, and yeah, I'm very happy with the results. I also wanted to represent some of the shadows, because when light comes in underwater, it kind of accentuates the darker parts of both these characters. So this was fun to do. The next prompt was wall. Oh yeah, this was a manga panel. Now a manga is a Japanese comic, and there's this one manga called Jujutsu Kaisen where a character meets another character and they are fighting. This character tries to kick the other character, but the character is so strong and sturdy, it felt like he was kicking a wall. So this panel represents that feeling, the character is kicking and kind of feels like he's kicking a wall. So that was actually a really cool panel, and when I saw the prompt wall, I figured this would be a nice challenge for me to also illustrate and draw in my sketchbook. So yeah, this was pretty fun but very tedious. Yeah. The next prompt was pineapple. Now I just wanted to draw a simple pineapple character wearing shades and throwing a peace sign. Yeah, this was just very straightforward for me. I just wanted to draw a character, and I think I managed to nail the prompt pretty well. Pineapple character. The next prompt, this was day 22. Broken. Broken was just, I guess I wanted to portray someone who, you can look at and conveys that feeling of being broken. Maybe he's very depressed, he's just going through something. Now, to represent that, I really did very harsh and rough shadows on his face and on his arms. But just this whole drawing style is very chaotic, and I feel like that, in a way, represents the prompt broken. And it's sort of like an artistic expression of the prompt. Day 23 was flag. Now here I got a bit too excited. I did two drawings, both from one of my favorite mangas, or rather stories in fiction. It's called One Piece. The first is one of the main character, his name is Luffy. He painted, he's a pirate, so this was one of his first, actually his only drawing of the flag that he wanted represented. Of course, his crewmates really did not like it, but he was so happy and proud. I remember seeing this panel and I was like, yeah, I need to draw this. And the other prompt of the flag was the same character holding up a flag. Now, just for context, there was another character who wanted to blow up this flag, but the main character wanted to protect the flag, so he wanted to show people that flags represent something very powerful. So when the other character, meaning the bad guy, wanted to, threw a bomb and wanted to blow up the flag, when the smoke cleared, the main character was just standing there holding the flag and saying, "You see, it's unbreakable." It was such a cool panel that I had to draw, even after I had drawn the first one. So this was pretty fun to do. Yeah. The next prompt was ooze. This was day 24, and ooze. I just wanted to draw should I say an ooze monster of sorts, because October is like the month of Halloween and horror, and I hadn't drawn a creature yet. I figured with ooze I could draw something that represents that. It was pretty fun. I didn't want to shade it too much, but I drew a lot of these slimy bits, I call it, to represent the oozy aspects of the monster. And I would say it looks pretty cool. The next prompt was vines. Initially I just wanted to draw some vines going down with some leaves, but I just wanted to add a character to it. And the character that came to mind was Tarzan and Jane from the animated film Tarzan. So I just drew a scene where Tarzan is climbing some vines and Jane is holding on to them. It was pretty fun to draw. It triggered my some good memories on this scene. The next prompt was sweet. Yeah, this one you can tell I just immediately, first of all, was craving ice cream, and from there I decided to draw some ice cream. It was either ice cream or some sweets, which was the most obvious, but ice cream just made sense to me. And I wanted to draw it in a very, very rough type of texture, but also still retain that smoothness of the ice cream. I would say this is a nice illustrative way of drawing an ice cream. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed drawing this one. It was pretty quick. I think also because it was late in the morning and I had quite a bit of work to do. So this is something I could look up very quickly. The next prompt was seer. Now, seer is someone who can foresee or tell the future. And I wanted to draw this old woman who tells futures using cards. So it was a pretty straightforward prompt for me. The only challenge I had was trying to find some reference images to use. Luckily, I managed to find one or two that I really liked, and I kind of combined both of them. But this was a fun prompt to do. Yeah. Next up was power. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. The powerful animal that came to mind was a rhino. It was either a rhino or an elephant, but I wanted to draw a rhino because it's a very powerful animal. And this rhino is also a martial artist. I mean, it's a combination of two powerful things, and it was a nice character study. This pose was inspired by another character design that was made and I saw on Pinterest. Yeah, I really like this character. You can tell that he has quite a bit of experience and he really enjoys fighting just from this pose and this expression. Yeah. The next prompt was architecture. This prompt was inspired by my visit to Makumbusho. There's museum that showcases different cultures, and one of the things they showcase are different housings, like how were people living at a certain time period. But I mean, they still do in some rural areas, but those are housing that I saw that really captured my attention. So this prompt was inspired by that housing that I saw at the museum. Yeah, this was pretty fun to do. I really enjoyed how I did the shadows here. This was a nice way to show the contrast, and I feel like it brings out quite a bit of character on this house. The next prompt was creep. Now, just continuing the theme of drawing like a horror type of monster in a way, this character came to mind. This is the character I drew also on my iPad at a certain time. I think it was last year during the same month of Inktober. I just wanted to draw a character that kind of is very creepy when you look at it. Yeah, it kind of looks like a horrific Mr. Groot from the Minions franchise. Yeah. Now, on the final day, this was the final day, day 31. The prompt was 13. 13, what came to mind was Friday the 13th, the Friday the 13th franchise. And there's a character who's the main villain. He wears a ski mask and he goes around killing people. And that's really a character that represented that number 13 in Friday the 13th. And yeah, this was the last prompt. It was pretty fun to do, drawing these darker shadows and doing a bit of cross-hatching in some of the areas. But yeah, that's basically all the artworks that I've drawn. There are 32 when you look at it, because there's the 2 artworks I did on Flag. But yeah, these artworks are available if you would like to buy them. Just take a screenshot of the artwork that you like and shoot a message, a DM, to wherever you're seeing this video. They are each going to be 100,000 Tanzanian shillings, and I will deliver, or we can organize a pickup point. They will each be, or they will all be framed, properly framed, for you to hang and display. So you're very welcome. Yeah.